Recording in progress.
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome in. Kat, if you want to spotlight me as we get started. Great, welcome. All right, everyone. Good to have everyone joining us this Sunday evening, International Women's Day. Also daylight savings, so hopefully everyone is getting the time correct. All right, many folks noted the irony of losing an hour on International Women's Day, but many also noted that women still are going to get it done, which has been a defining feature of our ISOT organizing in Minnesota for sure. Okay, welcome everyone. Okay, one of the things we do on these calls to make them as accessible to as many folks as possible is offer Spanish language interpretation. And so I'm going to invite Jorge on now to give instructions if you want to join that channel. Jorge, you want to take it for a minute? I'm not hearing Jorge. I don't know if others are. And Kat, if you want to spotlight Jorge, can be on screen together. Great. Do you want to say a few words, Jorge, see if I can hear you? I'm not hearing you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for introducing yourselves in the chat. Thanks for being here this evening. Do you want to give it another go, Jorge? No, I can't hear you. Okay, you might want to pop out and pop in or something. We'll come back to you. We will come back to you. Okay. Glad everyone is here. We are going to open this evening with some great music. Their opening song does have some profanity in it. Every time we've done that on these calls, everyone has enjoyed the profanity, but if you are not in the mood to hear curse words, or you don't want those around you to hear curse words, you may want to turn the volume down, put headphones in, turn your volume off. And then for the second song that does not have any profanity, Dante's going to wave like this, and then you'll know to turn your volume up if you want to hear the second song. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Dante and Blake from Space Monkey Mafia to get us started.
Hey guys, thanks Elian for having us. Hope you like this music. 2, 3. All my homies know from here to Mexico, fuck ice, fuck ice. Todos de acuerdo de Chicago a Laredo, fuck ice, fuck ice. My favorite states are water and liquid snow and vapor, but when it comes to ice, baby, you know that I'm a hater. No more Mr. Minnesota nice. Fuck ice. Keep them off the street and take your whiskey neat, 'cause fuck ice. Fuck ice. Sin hielo mi tequila y chinga la migra. Fuck ice. Fuck ice. One more Frank Gestapo, yeah, I ain't fucking sold. All that ice is good for is keeping my beer cold. I told you once and now I'll tell you twice. Fuck ice. Hoy nos congelamos, pero invierno nunca dura para siempre. Cuando llega el verano, las fascistas All my homies say from Brooklyn to LA, fuck ice, fuck ice. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Fuck ice, fuck ice. I told you once, I told you twice. Fuck 'em, fuck 'em, fuck 'em, now I told you thrice. If you lick the boot, you ain't no friend of mine. Just fuck around and see what you will find. No more Mr. Minnesota Nice. Fuck ice. Hey, thanks you guys. Once again, we're called Space Monkey Mafia. We're out of the Twin Cities. I'm waving right now, just in case anybody muted. Didn't want to hear some swear words. Our next song does not have any cursing. It's about love and the power of it and how we are all going to get through this together. All right, here we go. Are you feeling the desperate cold clutch of scarcity? Does it whisper and whimper and stop you reaching out to me? It might feel hard or it might feel terrifying to be imperfect in a world that doesn't want you trying. But take a leap and you'll find it so surprising. The many arms reaching out to catch you. Love is abundant, no matter what they've told you, so let it spill over the sides of your heart. Cause none of us is better than all of us together. There's never any need to have to go it alone. Are you feeling it angry when you look around today? Do you feel like you can't even start to change the world a little? It might feel hard or it might feel terrifying to be invested in a world that wants to see you dying. But take a stand and you'll find it so surprising. The many fists reaching out to join you. Love is abundant, no matter what they've told you, so let it spill over the sides of your heart. Cause none of us is better than all of us together. There's never any need to have to go it alone. Love is abundant, no matter what they've told you, so let it spill over the sides of your heart. Cause when you give it away, it comes back in spades. We'll never make a difference if we go it alone. Love is abundant, no matter what they told you, so let it spill over the sides of your heart. Cause none of us is better than all of us together. There's never any need to have to go it alone. Thanks so much for having us. We've been Space Monkey Mafia. We dropped some links in the chat if you want to hear our music. Otherwise, thanks everybody for being here. Stay strong. We're going to get through this together. Passing it back to you, Eliane.
Thank you, Space Mafia Monkey. Space Monkey Mafia. Sorry, I messed up my M's. I was just thinking so much about the words. I messed up the name. The end of that, the final song there is so beautiful. And I'm just really holding that message as we start here of grounding and choosing love and hope in the face of some very terrible things. And that can be hard to do. And that was a beautiful song to remind us of that. And in this briefing call, we're going to cover hard things. We are living in hard times. And, we started these conversations connecting and taking action and orienting during Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota when so many of our neighbors were being kidnapped and our neighbors being brutalized and some of our neighbors even being murdered. And while the landscape has changed a bit here, and we're going to hear an update about what that looks like, we still have folks who are hurting. It was just March 1st and rent is due. And we're still working to keep folks housed. ICE is still here. And sadly, the violence has spread even further and more intensely across the globe with war in Iran and in Lebanon. And I know for many of us on this call, whether we are connected to people in Iran and Lebanon or not, we understand that as Tupac Shakur reminds us, there is a war in the streets and a war in the Middle East. They have money for war and not for our schools and our rent and our communities. And so we're going to keep on struggling forward. We're going to keep on fighting. We're going to keep on choosing love. And this briefing conversation will keep on tracking all the different pieces that we are moving and connected to here in Minnesota. So thank you all for being here so much. And feel free to drop in the chat a time over the last week that you have chosen to be courageous, that you've chosen to be connected, that you've chosen to ground in hope and love in the face of very hard times, because it is that discipline of hope and choosing love that's going to keep us moving forward. So please drop a moment in the chat as we are starting and we'll keep moving forward. And so to keep us moving forward and to talk about how we are still taking care of each other and especially as many in our community struggle, we have Ashley Fairbanks with Stand With Minnesota website. You've probably heard of it. You probably wondered who's the genius behind this site. And so Ashley's coming on to share with us a little bit more about the website and what that organizing work has looked like. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hello, I am Ashley Fairbanks, so also known as Indigenous Cause, Dame. I am from Minneapolis, but I have lived in San Antonio for 5.5 years. And yeah, I started the Stand With Minnesota website back in January, and because I felt like I needed to do something because all of my friends were in the streets up there. And at first, the website was a directory really that just to push donations across the board and make sure that, you know, unlike 2020, none of our organizations got completely overwhelmed, and we had a big widespread of where money could go. So that was a success, I think, in a lot of ways. We got tons of organizations, tons of money, got tons of donations for people, and just semi trucks full of things to go and help children and families. And then about a month ago, we really pivoted to focusing on rent. And that is the struggle we're currently in. So we launched a campaign a month ago called Keep Minnesota Housed, where we really have tried to move to keep the rent funds talking to each other. So if you don't know, across the Twin Cities, since the beginning of Operation Metro Surge, dozens of rent funds have jumped up from PTA groups and churches and neighborhoods and random groups of friends. And back when Stand With Minnesota was getting hundreds of thousands of hits a day, we were just putting, like, people were getting so much donations into these GoFundMe's. And that, since Minnesota has dropped out of the news quite a bit, those donations have fallen just as dramatically as they rose. And the hard part about that is that, there are still thousands of families across the state of Minnesota who are really struggling to make rent. And because landlords are in general scumbags, they have kind of conspired to start evicting people quicker than they ever have before. So people, if you live in Minneapolis and you were a few days paying your rent this month, you might have experienced that already. Getting an eviction notice immediately, basically. So I am just here, like, on behalf of all the rent funds I'm working with, just a plea of desperation. If you're interested in working on rent funds, we have a program through Stand With Minnesota called Adopt a Rent, which you can sign up for on the Stand With Minnesota website, where we give you a Venmo and you basically just pay a family's rent for them. Some very generous people have offered to jump on and pay multiple rents. But I could give you 10 million tragic stories about the people we're helping right now. And the long story short is just that there's a gigantic mountain of need. And like this week, my group has been prioritizing pregnant women whose husbands have been deported and who mostly have small children. and, have an average rent of about $1,500. So if you can contribute $500 or more, please get word to us through the Adopt a Rent site. And which, like I said, is on stateofminnesota.com. You can just go to Adopt a Rent and fill out a form, and we'll contact you. We have a team of about 20 volunteers. Also, if you know anyone who needs to get home from detention or wants to go to a place that they feel safer if they're at risk of being deported, we have a program connecting families with donors for miles. So we've already arranged around 50 flights in and out of the country for folks to reunite families. That's also on the Stand with Minnesota website. And then if you can't give a ton, but you can give a few bucks, every dollar really helps. And we have a matching fund at the Wilson Foundation that is putting money out to rent funds every single week. So, like I said, I'm really trying to hope that everyone, as you get inside from doing, doing all of the work that we were doing throughout the occupation, that you can come help us out with rent, because if we don't solve the problem now, we're really going to have a huge cascade, a public health crisis, basically one of the biggest eviction crises of the time. Um, and I don't think people really understand the scale of it yet, but it's pretty scary. So I won't go into too much of a rabbit hole about that, but if you have questions, hit me up. You can also just email contact@standwithminnesota.com, and, help pay some rent. That's all I've really got. Anyone have any questions, or Eliana, is that everything I was supposed to say?
That was perfect, Ashley. Thank you so much. Um, Thank you so much for seeing a need and saying, I've got skills and I've got like talents and I'm gonna step in and do something. I've just seen so many people all over our state
Can I answer one quick question from the chat?
do that. Actually, we'll grab the chats. You can respond in the chat, or tech support can help you connect, but I'm gonna keep moving forward to
Awesome.
Jen. Tech support, if we want to bring Jen on. Mutual aid has been such an important way for us to meet this moment. And we know that we take care of our neighbors and we keep each other safe. And it's been such a powerful way for folks across the country to be able to throw down and take care of Minnesotans with us. And we know that that can't be the answer forever. And we need our state, we need our city, we need local and state and federal government to show up with the resources at that level to take care of this crisis and to join us with the courage that so many of us has shown and the creativity to take care of our neighbors. And so coming on now is Jen to talk about some of the local organizing around policy change that local tenants are leading. Take it away, Jen.
Thank you, Eliane. Yes, my name is Jennifer Arnold. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm director at Inquilinos Unidos por Justicia, or Renters United for Justice, and also part of the Twin Cities Tenant Union. As Ashley was naming, the need for rental assistance and protection for renters is super great. I'm feeling that in all areas of my life. In the last week here in Minneapolis, we found an instance of a South Minneapolis landlord who sent notices to vacate to a third of their building, filled primarily with immigrant renters. And we know that this is part of the fallout of months of occupation, and it's meant that thousands of families could face eviction in the coming months. And it's unconscionable that landlords are using this as an opportunity to evict residents. We have a little action. The landlord who has done that is called Lupe Development, and they sent eviction notices to 30 renters in their South Minneapolis buildings. Basically, they gave them 1 month's notice to come good on the rent owed, or they will be taken to court. So take action. Tell this landlord this is not the time to be evicting people. And because of actions like this, Inquilinos Unidos and the Twin Cities Tenant Union and many other community organizations and unions have been coming together to fight for funding and protections for renters across the state. It's amazing that we've come together to fundraise the way we have, and we need state support to make this a more sustainable and actionable situation. we need time and we need funding. So I'm going to share a quick update about what's happening at the state capitol and why the next few days are really important in the recovery from Operation Metro Surge. So this Wednesday, the Minnesota State Senate will vote on a proposal that includes $40 million in emergency rental assistance. That funding would help stabilize thousands of renters who are currently behind on rent or facing eviction. And, this didn't happen by accident. A bunch of community organizations and people have been leading the way. And then Senator Port, with the support of Majority Leader Murphy, has done incredible work going through the state's budget with a fine-tooth comb to figure out where 40 million can be taken from and be available once this bill passes. Because of that kind of leadership, this proposal is now headed to the Senate floor in really record timing. The bill also includes a temporary 4-month extension requiring a 30-day pre-eviction notice before a case can be filed. This kind of protection gives extra time for renters to connect to the fund that we're trying to move or other kinds of mutual aid funds. Many of you probably know that we've been fighting for a 60-day notice. 30 days is still pretty short. We ultimately found that 30 days is something that could move at the state level, but we're pushing really hard to secure a 60-day notice in Minneapolis and St. Paul. The policy passed in Minneapolis and needs support from Mayor Fry to keep continuing to be implemented. And in St. Paul, the policy process is just beginning, so there hasn't been a hearing yet. Our approach at the state level allows us to make progress, and the city level allows us to make progress in both fronts. So people outside the Twin Cities would get immediate relief and more time, while 60 days in Minneapolis and St. Paul would give organizations more time to respond to the larger number of renters who need support there. This is not perfect, but it would be a huge step forward and meaningful that our state leaders would finally take action. It would put resources on the table and give folks who are unable to leave their homes or have had their wages impacted more time to stay housed and to recover. Unfortunately, even with the Senate moving forward, there's still a major roadblock, and that's the House GOP and Speaker Lisa DeMuth. While Senate DFL leaders have shown urgency to respond to the crisis, House Republicans have continued to dismiss it and posture because they think they'll benefit from this crisis politically. Honestly, it's really difficult. I've been at some of these hearings, and it's been really hard to see and hear the way that Republicans are talking about what we've been through. We feel really confident that Governor Walz would sign the notice extension, and we know the funding conversation will continue in the supplemental budget. But right now, the House GOP is standing in the way of moving this forward. So over the next week, we're going to really need to turn up pressure so House leadership can no longer ignore the eviction crisis happening in our communities. So with key partners, we'll be sending out an action alert this week on Wednesday, asking people across Minnesota to contact House leadership and demand action. If you're able, we want to encourage you that you share the action alert or your own action alert starting Wednesday after the Senate vote. We're going to share in the chat our Instagram page where you'll see this action alert shared on Wednesday, and you can share it more widely. We're also going to hold a press conference on Wednesday before the Senate floor vote to keep shining a light on the eviction crisis and the urgent need for the legislature to act now. And we've gotten this far because we have collectively refused to let this crisis be ignored. This vote is a big step, and we need everyone's help to continue to shine a light and make this be something that can continue to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, y'all, there were some great links dropped in the chat. And to meet the crisis that both Ashley and Jennifer spoke to, we need to do it all, as we have been doing. We don't get to pick and choose in these moments. We really just got to keep doing the most, and we are delivering. And so if you can give to mutual aid funds, if you can adopt a rent, if you can direct folks to check out Stand with Minnesota and the links in the chat around adopting a rent. If you are here in the state, contact your representatives, contact your state senators, your state reps, your local electeds to build the pressure to get the policy done that Jen just spoke about, which is so urgent. And also, let's not let these, bad actors and landlords who are preparing to evict whole buildings of people to get away with it in the dark. And so contact the landlords that Jennifer raised up and make sure they know that neighbors are watching, because neighbors watching have kept many people safe these last couple months. Okay, we are going to keep moving forward and talk about some big actions. You may have heard of No Kings before. You maybe even joined the last March and Rally in Minnesota, and it is back, and it is bigger and better than ever. At least it will be. And so I'm going to pass it to one of the local leaders holding it down. Tim, take it away and tell us more about the No Kings March and Rally that's coming up here.
Thanks so much, Elian. My name's Tim Wegener. I'm part of the core leadership team at Indivisible Twin Cities. And I just want you all to know it's an honor to be able to speak with you all, even just for a few minutes about what's going to be happening. So on March 28th, No Kings 3 is happening. The exciting part of it for us is this is the national flagship location for No Kings on the 28th. So where it's been in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. previously, it's coming here. And, I think what I want everybody to know is Minnesota has showed the country how to care for your neighbors, how to resist, how to document atrocities. And we've showed that we're never going to give in to a wannabe king or to any of his accomplices. And we've shown how to be brave. Honestly, what you all did on January 23rd with 75,000 people in the streets when it was -10, I don't know if we can top that, meaning as far as how the message gets across, but certainly we're hoping to have everybody there. And it's time to show again that we're going to defend ourselves and our communities against this regime no matter what. We know that the damage that's been done and the damage that's being done, it's not measured in days or months. It's not even measured in years. It's measured in generations. Generations of families are going to be suffering from this long after we get through this period that we're in. So on the 23rd, we are going to have national speakers. We're going to have local speakers. I wish I could give you names, but they're not quite ready to announce that yet, but it will be coming soon. We're going to have national musicians, local musicians. We're going to have hometown helpers who have defended our democracy and keep doing it every day. They're going to be there, and we're going to be highlighting them. One of the things that's really important is we're going to have a much improved sound system, and we're going to have jumbotrons at the state capitol. So if you've been there before, and in the back when we've had 100,000 people, it's hard to hear, it's hard to see. So we're going to try to take care of that as well this time around. And so what I'm here to do simply is to invite all of you to attend. I'm here to invite all of your organizations to endorse the event. Endorsement really is what it sounds like. We want as many names as we can on that list. We definitely do not want to take away from any of the other local events that are happening that day, but we do want to show the country the support that everybody has for each other here in Minnesota. And what we've done in the links is that we've included an RSVP link through Mobilize. So if you're coming as an individual with your family and friends, please sign up with that link and let us know you're coming so that we can plan for it. If your organization would like to endorse No Kings 3 here in Minnesota, the form for endorsing is there. And then importantly, if your group is interested in sending buses or you need help with buses, I've included a link, or excuse me, the tech support team actually has included a link for you to get access to all of that as well. I know there's a question about voter registration. It's something that we're working on, and I don't have an answer for you on that yet. But again, Minnesota has really showed what it looks like to care for one another, to care for your neighbors, to care for your community. And more importantly, we've showed how to be brave. And it's just the coolest thing, even in all of this time of suffering. It is the coolest thing to see how brave everybody has been. And I just want to leave you with one thing. It's one of the quotes that when the days are long and the work is hard, it's one of the quotes that I go back to all the time, which is never forget that a small group of people can change the world. And it's because that's the only thing that ever has. Well, damn it, we're not a small group. We're a huge group and we're getting bigger every day. And we're going to make this better. And I hope you all come to No Kings 3 um, and celebrate the work that's been done and get ready for the work that we have to continue to do. So again, it truly has been an honor to be with you tonight, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, everybody.
Hell yeah, Tim. We are not a small group.
Nope.
And more people are joining us every day. Thank you for reminding us of that. And yeah, I think a lot about how important these marches and rallies are for us to gather as a community to see how many of us actually are in this struggle together and for folks to see it and say, I want in. It's such a powerful way for us to show our numbers and to be brave and bold and beautiful in ways that mean more and more folks want to join us. So thanks for that update. Check out No Kings, y'all. Sign up. There's a mobilize in the, if you're an individual, there's a mobilize in the chat. If you sign up now, you'll start getting the updates and probably get many ways to keep plugging in. And also checking out people's social media is another good way to track what's moving and happening. A lot has moved and happened over the last week or so at the federal level because of incredible organizing from Minnesotans and our comrades across the country. We stopped funding to the Department of Homeland Security, and there's continued evolutions on that front. Who in the chat, drop if you know who got fired this past week. I never want to celebrate people getting fired, but I will celebrate that particular layoff. Okay, and see someone dropped it in. So there's a lot else. There's been a lot moving at the federal level, and we want to track it. And so joining us tonight is Megan from People's Action, who tracks the federal government and affairs really closely to give us an update on what's happening in the Department of Homeland Security that we should be paying attention to and tracking as Minnesotans who care a lot about what's happening on many fronts, especially what's coming out of DHS and some other spots. So I'll pass it to you, Megan.
Thanks, Eliane. Hi, all. It's really an honor to be here in space with you. Everyone in the rest of the country has been so inspired by your organizing and resistance. I actually just went to a community meeting today here in Maryland about ICE, and they played clips of Eliane speaking on the We Build Progress webinar and learnings from your work here. So thank you. So Trump fired Kristi Noem last week from running the Department of Homeland Security. And I think we should take that as a small win. It's not, time will tell if there's I don't expect it to have a huge impact. Stephen Miller is still there. And he has appointed this Senator Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma, who is pretty anti-immigrant himself. He might be a little more competent. We'll see. But I think Kristi Noem was in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee this week, and Democrats were really beating up on her, as well as Senator Tillis from North Carolina, who's a Republican, who's not running for re-election, and is fighting with Trump if you follow him. So he doesn't get too much credit, but Trump was mad because they were asking her about the $200 million she spent on. Thanks, Kat. The $200 million she spent on these gross advertisements for people with like her on her horse with her cowboy hat, like telling people to self-deport. And she said Trump had approved that, and that seemed to be the last straw for him. So there's some reporting that he was mad about that, but clearly it was mostly about everybody everything that's happened in Minnesota and everybody calling for her to be fired, and including a couple of Republicans. He's giving her some dumb job he made up because that's his new thing now. But his new thing is to like not actually fire people, because then they write books about, then they go to the press and say all the things that Trump said. So he's giving her a dumb job. But Senator Markwayne Mullin, Trump has announced, will be the new Secretary of Homeland Security. He is a senator from Oklahoma. Like I said, he's far right on immigration. He will most likely get confirmed. Senate confirmation requires a 50 vote threshold because the vice president can be the tiebreaker. And it sounds like all the Republicans will probably vote for him. A few of the our most likely targets have already said good things about him. It's frustrating. And Senator Fetterman sounds like he'll probably vote, who's a Democrat from Pennsylvania. Sounds like he'll vote for him. Sorry. So there was also this House oversight hearing this week where your Governor Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison testified about the fraud investigation. It's a Republican-led committee with some of the most extreme House Republicans who lead the committee. So it was really just for them to grandstand. And I really didn't see any coverage outside of Fox News, which was really mostly, a few Republicans, like clips of a few Republicans yelling at your governor. But the Republicans are really trying to reclaim the narrative, and I don't think they're being successful. Next slide, please, Kat. Thanks. And so Homeland Security is still in a technical shutdown. It's a little bit weird shutdown because ICE, you may know that ICE and Border Patrol agents are still getting paid. And that's because last year in the big ugly bill, HR 1, you may remember, that all Republicans passed, or we call it the big ugly budget, they gave $170 billion slush fund to ICE and Border Patrol for over 4 years. That was outside of the normal annual funding process. And so they have this money they can draw on, even though they're not getting the regular annual money that they would normally pay the agents with. And so, and just a note here, that additional money means that the ICE budget is larger than almost every country's military budget. I think, I didn't fact check this, I did it from memory, but I think the US, China, and Russia are the only countries that have bigger military budgets. So just to give you a sense, so the bill that they're fighting on, the reason there's a shutdown is they did not pass an annual funding bill called appropriations. And this shows you here, that would give them 10 billion more for ICE and 18 billion more for Customs and Border Patrol. Next slide, please. Right now, like I said, they're getting paid. TSA, FEMA, and Coast Guard have run out of money. And the last paycheck, some of them got a partial paycheck, and they will not get paychecks, but the essential workers will be required to work. So that will put pressure. Those agencies tend to put more pressure on Democrats. Democrats are offering to pass a bill just to fund those 3 sub-agencies if they can't get a deal. And Republicans are saying no. Next slide, please. And so just to review, you've probably heard this before. This is just a list of what Democratic leadership is demanding to pass any appropriations bill. I think the big things are a judicial warrant requirement where a judge would have to sign on to a warrant before ICE agents go into homes or stop cars. I don't think Democrats think they're, honestly, I think this is private call, right? Don't think they're likely to win that. I think that's significant because that's probably one of the best protections they're demanding. They'll win probably no masks and some of the things if they ever get to a resolution. But that's relevant because there's this strategic question of, is it better to just leave ICE and Border Patrol shut down and not give them any more money? And I lean that way. I think that's more impactful than the kinds of provisions they'll get in here that, again, it will still rely on a rogue agency to implement whatever Congress passes and to like actually have restraint. So that's just like my 2 cents at the end. But thanks all. I'm happy to answer questions in the chat or if there's time.
Great. Thank you, Megan, for that overview. It's good just to keep on tracking. And yeah, like you said at the end, yeah, there's no way ICE operates in a good way. It's an illegitimate agency. It has shown it cannot do its basic job. And as our Senator Tina Smith said in a great op-ed, we need to take it down to the studs. And so let's hope folks hold the line and not pass any more funding on that front. So thanks so much for joining us, Megan. Appreciate you being on this evening. And I'm just struck by like how many times Megan said billion. And it wasn't like it was the plural billion, 70, 18, 10 billion, billion. And you put that up against the beginning of this call where we talked about families not being able to make rent, which is like a couple thousand, and I just want folks to take a minute and drop in the chat all the things you would want billions of dollars to be going to right now. That would be so much better than brutal rogue federal agencies and war in Iran and Lebanon and across the globe. Too much of our money goes into war and violence and not enough into our communities. And so let's take a minute together and say all the things that we think that money should go to instead. And let's hold that and keep on organizing to win those things that our people deeply, deeply deserve and are actually the things that are going to keep us safe in this world, as we know so well, given our experiences here in Minnesota. All right. Thanks for dropping all that in the chat, y'all. Keep on dropping the things that the billions and billions and billions of dollars should be going to instead of violence and war. And no one knows the answer to that question, maybe more intimately than our next speakers from About Face. And I will let Mike and Thomas introduce themselves and the work that they are doing a little bit around this exact question and more broadly. Take it away, Mike and Thomas.
Thank you so much. And I couldn't have asked for a better segue. That's actually how I was going to introduce myself, because that's where all these billions of dollars should be going, is to support ourselves and our communities, right? So my name is Mike. I'm an Army veteran of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War from a couple of decades ago. I'm a member of About Face, Veterans Against War. For those of you who don't know, this organization, we've been around for slightly over 20 years. We were founded in 2004 with veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. And we have been actively involved and in several cases leading protests against essentially every foreign military action that the United States has been participating in. All of the crusades over the last 20 years under multiple administrations, we've been at the forefront of that. And I just want to open by saying that we deeply appreciate and support and obviously acknowledge all the hard work, the sustained hard work that everybody is doing up there in Minneapolis. It is an inspiration to all of us to be in such a high tempo, dangerous, stressful, just terror-filled environment and to be able to move forward with eyes open, really working on supporting yourselves and your families and your communities. It takes all of us. So it just to keep it as brief as I can, we have been involved in all those struggles. We have members who are actively involved in the ICE Out movement. If you've seen any banners or social media flags with Veterans Against Fascism, that's us as well. If you or somebody you care about or know is active duty or reservist or National Guard or a military member or veteran since 2001, please do link them to our website. We would love to hear from them. Thank you for sharing that link in the chat. To join About Face, we also have a regular call for the Veterans Against Fascism Working Group. We have a lot of media for creating posters, banners, social media shares, anything to get the word out there, and happy to be involved. Obviously, we're present and attending all of the No Kings protests, any of the protests that have been happening during this current insane administration. I'd hesitate to call it a regime. and just hello from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I'm going to pass it over to my comrade Thomas as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Thomas. I live in Tulsa, as luck would have it. I'm an Army veteran from 05 to about 11. I went to Iraq in 6 and 7 in Baghdad, and then I went to Diyala in 9 and 10, both in Iraq. I guess I'm going to segue here and give you guys an idea. I'm a fairly new member, and I've recently been inspired by everything happening in Minnesota and you guys coming together and protecting your own. And I really am wanting to get that kind of traction here in Tulsa because, again, the abductions and the things that are happening here are happening behind closed doors or under the radar. And so I'm trying to build a coalition of veterans here to bring light to that and to influence some of the voting races coming up. We've got midterms coming. You guys mentioned Mark Wade Mullen. He's probably my favorite subject currently. He has a plumbing company here in Tulsa that I think I might take a visit to in some public land and maybe do flyer, make ourselves known to the gentleman. He does not have any qualifications for what he's been hired for. He has a degree in construction management, I believe, an associate's at that. The only the only senator in history or not history, but at least in recent memory to not have a bachelor's degree at the very minimum. He has no experience in any sort of policing, any sort of domestic protections, any sort of homeland security apparatus. He has no experience with the FBI, the CIA, the military, none whatsoever. He even got caught by Christopher Goldsmith recently as saying that he has knowledge of war, which was an interesting concept to the combat vets that heard him say it. So this guy's, as far as I can tell, a tough guy, cowboy, liar. And I want you guys to know that I'm very intent on organizing veterans here and really letting this guy know we're paying attention to him. And I really would like to use About Face to bring all these veterans together so that we can support whatever moderate or Democratic contender we may have for his vacant seat. Because again, midterms are coming. He won't be in his seat. He can't run for it again. He'll be in DHS. So it's a golden opportunity for us here in Tulsa. But that's pretty much what I'm up to. I would really love any input that you guys might have about lessons learned in dealing with ICE, lessons learned in dealing with local police and things, as that's going to become a focal point in Tulsa as we turn up the heat here. And I really appreciate you having me on. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mike and Thomas. There's some great links dropped in the chat to learn more about Face, about the organizing they're doing. And, I just think a lot. I just think about like what it took to meet this moment and to get as far as we have gotten and what it's going to take to keep moving us forward. And the biggest tent we can build with folks who we may not usually work with or you may not expect to be right next to us in the streets resisting is such an important feature of this moment. So if you've been sort of at a rally, at a community meeting, doing legal observing, anything in the recent last couple months where you looked around and you saw someone you don't know, or you saw someone who you were surprised to see there, just do a little reaction because I'm just so deeply struck by how often that has happened to me over the last couple months. And that's what's big. The way we've moved in Minnesota has inspired folks all across the country to act the same. We're from Tulsa and Maryland and all over the country. People are looking at what we did here in Minnesota and saying, I want to be ready to do that. I want to be brave like that. I want to be disciplined like that. I want to be effective like that. It is such a wonderful thing to see. It's just a sad state of affairs that we have to do it. And so we will keep on moving forward. We know that we are just in Minnesota somewhat starting the recovery. We know that ICE is still here. And we know that We have a big year ahead with No Kings coming up and elections in November, and the world will continue to turn. And no matter what happens, we are going to keep each other safe and keep showing up for each other. And as our opening set said, we will choose love even when it is hard. So thank you all for being on the call this evening. I hope you got some good info out of it, that you're going to take action, and we will see you next Sunday. Have a good evening, everyone.
Record.